Former University of Toronto professor and clinical psychologist Jordan Peterson is receiving heat from the College of Psychologists of Ontario. The regulatory body has ordered Peterson to undergo a media training program after they received complaints over his controversial tweets. Peterson has refused to do so. He says he could face a disciplinary hearing and possibly lose his clinical license. All this has raised questions around freedom of expression. I'd like to bring in James Turk. He is the director of the Centre for Free Expression at Toronto Metropolitan University. James, thanks for taking the time today.
My pleasure, Andrew.
So what do you think of this regulatory body ordering Peterson to take this media training program?
I'm quite troubled by the actions of the College of Psychologists. Now, I'm someone who really dislikes Jordan Peterson's positions on most things. So it's not a defense of Peterson, but it's, I think, really inappropriate overreach by the college to want to be able to censor political expression by someone.
Now, they concluded that he does pose moderate risks to the public, specifically around his refusal to use they, them pronouns. Just an example, referring to Catherine McKenney, a former Ottawa City Councillor who prefers to use they, them pronouns, as an appalling, self-righteous, moralizing thing, referring to actor Elliot Page in part, remember when pride was a sin. So, what do you say to the kind of comments that he has made and the conclusion that maybe these comments do pose a moderate risk to the public?
Well, I couldn't disagree more with the comments he's made. Mm-hmm. But the very nature of a democratic society, the heart of it is an ongoing discussion, public discourse about what's legitimate and what's not legitimate. And that discourse cannot be ended without us moving toward an undemocratic society. The government can pass laws. We have all sorts of restrictions on free speech that are set collectively by governments in terms of you can't engage in violence. I can't beat somebody up and say, well, I'm just expressing my dislike of them. And you can't engage in defamation or perjury. So there are a variety of limits, and if Dr. Peterson violated any of those, he would be charged appropriately, or legal actions would be taken. But beyond that, democracy depends on a really open discussion, debate about things, and the way you respond to expressions you think are harmful or troubling or whatever is by countering them, criticizing them, not by trying to say, well, I have the right to censor what you can say. Because when I say that, I'm really saying what I think should limit what you can hear. And I don't think the College of Psychologists has that role, except in relation to the professional practice of psychologists.
So how do you draw the line between what is said in a professional capacity versus, say, a tweet that is done in private?
Well, first of all, as I understand it, Peterson has not been practicing psychology for 5 or 6 years. But insofar as he's practicing psychology, if there's any suggestion that he's behaved inappropriately in how he's treated a patient or a client, then a complaint can be made to the college, and they should intervene in that case. But as I've seen all of the complaints that have been registered with the college, none of them had to do with his practice of psychology. They all had to do with people disliking the political content of his messages. And they have every right to object to his political content, but it's wrong to solve that problem by trying to get the College of Psychologists to censor him. That just opens a door to, right now people like me who don't like what he has to say may cheer and say, that's wonderful. The less we hear of that kind of stuff, the better. But if you set that precedent, you could have a different makeup of the College of Psychologists may decide that people like me who are trans-positive, who are pro-LGBTQ, who have a variety of progressive values, could be censored. We just don't, that's not how we deal with disagreements about political speech in a democratic society, by having private bodies, whether it be the College of Psychologists or others, decide what the rest of us can say and not say.
James, appreciate you taking the time to talk to us about this. Thank you very much.
My pleasure, Andrew. Bye-bye.
James Turk is the director of the Centre for Free Expression at Toronto Metropolitan University in Toronto.